don't even know what episode we're on.
No, I'm
16?
No, we're past that. We're at least 18,
20?
19. We're close to 20.
Oh, hi.
So, I know it's benefit.
It's another episode of
To Michelle's
One Question Podcast. We've got some special friends in here today. That sounds so special. You girls are special. You are special. I'm not going to lie.
Special besties.
I got, I'm trying to think if it was a text or a phone call one day from my neighbor, Diane. And she said, oh, we did it. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you opened the pool early. What happened? And she goes, no, we did it. She goes, we wrote a novella. I had to look up what a novella was.
It's a little skinnier book, right?
It's a baby novel.
Not a real big book.
It's a baby novel, isn't it?
Yes.
Like a puppy of a dog.
Yeah.
Like right? Am I right?
Yes,
Novella.
correct.
She just called her book a dog. Thank you.
Oh, a puppy. Everyone loves puppies.
Yeah.
Right?
Diane Sanders, Barb, say it correctly.
Diedrich.
Oh, is how it's spelled then. So you say it how it's spelled.
Diedrich.
Barbara Diedrich. These girls have been friends for a long time. They wrote a novella.
I love that. I can't wait to dive into this because I want to know how you write a book with your best friend. Because and still walk away being best friends.
Yeah, we had quite a process.
Oh, you're like what? Wine, lots of wine. So these girls, they've been friends. So our question today is, what have you done or what do you want to do with a friend? What could you do with a good friend of yours? What project could you and a friend do?
Oof, a project.
Build something, do something.
I was just thinking I want to go on a vacation with a friend.
Oh, yeah. Well,
my goals,
project.
My goals are, I guess, right? It can be.
Now, you guys have been friends for how many years?
Over 50.
Oh, I'm sitting down. Let me get my chair ready.
Since before birth, right?
So for over 50 years, you've been friends. How'd you meet? Tell us that dirt.
We both went to Western, so we've known each other since we were 18 years old.
Okay.
Both on the fourth floor. That was when they used to separate boys and girls.
Oh, yeah.
So we were in the girls' side of the dorm. There was Community John's, and then I had.
I know. They still have
You make a lot of
those.
friends in those.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Right?
And I was in the cafeteria. I worked. I was the vegetable lady, so I was dishing vegetables, and she would come through the line. That's how we initially met.
Oh my God.
Did you always get vegetables just to say hi? What if you didn't like green beans that day?
Well, we had an instant rapport. I don't know. We just clicked. And at that time, I am hesitant somewhat to say, I used to wear wigs. So
Why? Don't be hesitant.
I
Bring
know.
those wigs out.
I
girl.
had-
They were fun and
And,
cool.
and so I was the wig lady. She was the vegetable lady.
I want to be the wig and
Wig-
vegetable lady. That is
Wigs,
it.
like long wigs, like just fun.
No, just sort of like my hair is
Beautifully
now.
styled
Yes.
and, fashionable.
Good hair day every day.
Good hair day every day. So I
love
spent
it.
that time in the dorm. And then
Mhm.
eventually we moved out and lived in a couple of old houses off campus.
Uh-huh.
And continued our friendship that way, made lots of other friends, had a lot of parties, hitchhiked to the bars.
Yeah.
Back when hitchhiking was
I
a fun
know,
thing.
man.
Yeah,
The good old
know.
days.
It was fun. It was
Yeah, it
fun.
was.
Yeah. So
How do you get to that deciding you're going to write a book together?
yeah, how did that all happen?
Yeah.
Well, it's 50 years of friendship.
Yeah.
So tears and laughter and funerals and weddings and all of that. We've witnessed each other's lives.
Divorces,
People-
get-togethers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we were up at their condo at Torch Lake 2 years
Nice.
ago,
Swank.
having a
Yeah.
martini. And she just finished a book.
I finished a book about time travel, a time travel novel, which I was just captivated by. I loved it.
Oh, you finished reading
I
one.
finished
Oh, okay,
reading
okay,
one. I
okay.
finished reading one.
Okay.
I thought writing too. I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
okay.
no, sorry.
Okay.
And we were sipping our martinis. And I said, I think we should write a book.
Brilliant.
And so that's
She
over.
posed the question,
Yeah.
if you could go back in time, where would it be? And I thought for a minute, I'd say Boston. I'm a history buff. I love history. I said Boston, but not before the Civil War, post-Civil War, Boston 1870s.
You said Boston. You just came up with Boston 1870s on your
We're
own.
Just throwing this crap around. Then she wants to write a book, and I'm going, you're nuts.
Yeah. I
I'm not a writer.
I said, I'm going with you. I said, that's
yeah.
where I'll go. I'll go too. We'll go
Yeah.
together and we're going to write a book.
Okay. So in this book, it is, in fact, it's a
Yeah.
novella about time travel. It's called A Dance in Time. And I encourage you, it's on Amazon, and you can find it. And I encourage you to read it. I'm not going to even get into the fact that you left us a little bit hanging. We'll talk about that later after the show. I don't want to do spoilers for anybody.
I know, full disclosure, I didn't finish it, but I've loved it so far.
Oh, well, huh.
I'm sorry.
What about the one we're listening? Anyway,
Yeah,
okay. You really did have a lot of knowledge about Boston. Why? You didn't grow up there?
I didn't have
Why?
knowledge about it. And we started writing her crazy idea to write this book. And we live on other sides of the state,
Yeah,
but then it required a lot of research.
Yeah.
a lot
lot
because
of
it has to
yeah.
be if you're going back in time, the time better be accurate. Down to the clothing.
Yeah.
Down
And
to the
can I just say, I
jewelry.
love the pictures. I
The
love
pictures,
the
right?
pictures.
She did so much research for those pictures. And I think they're fabulous.
That was helpful. The clothing, that was my favorite. Can I just say, mind blown that they were wearing crotchless panties.
Right?
Correct.
These women were wearing crotchless
Yeah.
underwear right here.
in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It
what
was-
that? I'm sorry.
What?
So much fun researching that. All of the
Really was.
layers of underwear.
Okay,
It's
so
mind-boggling. But the research for that, for everything, and we strive for historical accuracy
It's there.
on everything, even, the street intersections, the street names,
Everything.
every detail, the furniture, the fire chief, all the details.
the name of the
surrounding
fire
the-
chief is accurate.
That he
real.
lived. He was the fire chief. John
Wow.
Damrell was the fire chief. David Percival was a jeweler in Boston at that time, and his store was DC Percival.
So tell me the story about the necklaces too. Were those significant to you guys, or was that?
We made that up.
She came up with that
Well,
idea.
there are pictures of them too. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm like, are those significant for some reason?
No, but she came up with the idea of the necklaces.
Okay.
And so I said, yeah, that's great. And then she sent me pictures. Would you like this to be your necklace? Well, sure, that's pretty. And so there they were. She did all the research on pretty much on the photos.
So these two girls, they're friends, much like you two, and they go back. They're on a plane and they go back in time. They wake up and they go back in time.
From the 70s. They were in the
Yes.
70s.
That's the other thing. They're in the 70s, so they're
the
in
1970s.
Yeah, they're in bell bottoms and fringe and, cool and kind of hippie looking, kind of free. And then there were bras. There were bras. Were
We
there
had
bras?
bras on when we got there.
Yeah.
And I love that you say we. So really, that's how you're writing this book. It's like you two,
Oh.
as yourselves, being time traveled back. And that's kind of how this
Mhm.
story goes.
Yes.
And you talk about your parents. Are these really your real moms?
Yes.
Well, we both lost our moms young. We were only 24 when Barbie's mom passed away. And
Yeah.
I was close with her. I called her mom. And then my mom, I was 37.
Yeah.
So it was like, why don't we
Yeah.
put our moms in this? And I said, hey, on the phone, why don't they? I know they were unwed mothers and they met in a home for unwed mothers. Like, what? And so
Great idea.
She
In this-
found this real unwed mother home
Angel
near
House.
Lansing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
In Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So it was crazy. It was a crazy process. There was no process. We would say, okay, the girls need to get from here to there. They need coats. How are we going to do that? Okay, you handle that.
Yeah,
But
but she came up with a whole cult thing, and it's just funny,
It's funny.
A thiever, a stealer. She robbed. How many times in the book did she rob? She started killing off all the characters left and right.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how many martinis till you started killing people?
I said,
Right.
hold on,
Right,
don't touch a hair on Grandma Julia's head.
right.
So my grandma was
I knew her
Julia,
grandma.
and she knew my grandma, and I said, you do not touch a hair on her head. So we had 3 deaths. 2 births.
Right. So oh, by the way, that's interesting too. So this is all from the book, and I feel like it's a lot, like we're just saying, it's
Yeah.
part of your real life. So we'll get to the time travel question in a second too, but what about you two? Like, what else have you done together that, I mean, you did this book, you have this, but I feel like there's been a lot of this kind of stuff together.
Kind of finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
You guys have that going on, right?
Yeah, I think it's just life experiences
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
years. We've shared everything. We've remained close friends. Our husbands are good friends.
Fights. Have there been fights?
Despite the distance.
Look at
Have there been
Diane's
fights?
face.
Not, but not
No, we got a little
serious.
testy with each other in the book.
I was going to
when we
say,
were
probably
reviewing
the
it.
process, I would say some fights,
When
probably
we were editing,
disagreements.
it got a little
Yeah.
weird. You know.
And yes, we did.
We
it
did.
was. It got a little tedious because we were working with this program that was very difficult, and I was in charge of the pictures, and they kept getting rearranged, and because we were neophytes in so many ways, we didn't have an outline. We didn't. They said, "Would you have an outline? Do you
You
have a
just started writing
storyboard?"
it,
No
chapter
storyboard.
one.
No. I said, when I got home, I said, I better start this book now or we won't write it. So I wrote a few paragraphs and I turfed it to Diane. She wrote a few paragraphs,
Wow.
sent it back to me. And then eventually we took ownership of individual chapters.
Okay.
And we would talk on the phone and say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And then we'd go back to our respective,
And just write.
writing areas and write and then share it back and forth online.
Because the writing style is still, it seems it's cohesive.
It really is.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Because she's an English major. I was like social work, and I've never written. And I figured she'd have, but our style, the way we write, it's hard to tell. Sometimes I was rereading the book the other day, and I go, who wrote this? It's been a year. I don't remember. Yeah.
That's how
Wow.
cohesive it is.
Yeah. For sure. So cool.
Well,
Okay. so
serendipitous. There was no plan.
How many more do we have planned?
would you do it again?
Yeah.
She convinced me, and I agreed finally, but I don't know, a sequel.
A sequel. You have to do a sequel because you left us hanging. You kind of did.
I know.
Okay. She goes, I know.
man.
That was the point.
I know.
Okay.
I know, and we're talking about it.
Okay.
I think that the next book will be much more difficult. Because not just from a plot standpoint, but we're gonna have to weave some of that into the second
Yeah.
book. It's gonna be more complicated.
Sounds like you need to start brainstorming today.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
martinis are in order.
she's got some
Happy
great ideas already.
And-
Diane is the most creative person I've known in my
Aw.
entire life.
She makes quilts. You should see her house. And the backyard's a great martini backyard.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm
man.
just saying.
As
And,
is your bag.
I was
and
gonna
yeah.
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay. So
We have a second question.
the question is,
Right. If you would go back in time, when would you go? I think we
Mhm.
know when. Would you both go?
yeah, well, if you could go anywhere, Barbie, where would it be? Anywhere back in time?
I said I would go with her, but it's funny when we talked about this originally, I had a very boring answer. My answer was I would go back to the 1960s with my family during the weekend when all the cousins and aunts and uncles got together and had bonfires and
Okay.
I love
roasted
that.
kielbasa and marshmallows, and we climbed trees and just had fun. And then she comes up with the exotic idea of 1870s Boston. And I said, oh, I'm going there.
Yeah. Okay. But yours would take less research. I would imagine you would have all that.
Right. You just show up to that
Jewelry.
one, right?
I just show up.
All right, Michelle, if you could travel anywhere, where would it be in
Man,
Ryan back in
I
time?
love that answer.
Yeah.
And man, I would love to go back and revisit the days with my grandparents and hanging out and
Yeah.
growing up. That would be really cool. But my initial is the 20s, man. I would love to go back to the 20s. I love clothes. Like I'm very into that. And the music and
Yep.
the vibe. I don't know. But the 70s I
Be
think would be
fun.
super fun also.
Yeah.
I don't, that's
Mine's
hard.
with you 100%. I have no stuttering, no question.
Yeah.
1920s.
I could absolutely see you in the
Yeah.
20s.
I want to be when there was debauchery.
Yes.
When they had triple X films, they didn't. I mean, you could do. I mean, they're
Right.
there
As
was
it was brought up,
smut.
there was prohibition, but nobody let that get in
Right. There
way.
was debauchery. There was drinking. Flappers. Women were free. They didn't wear bras.
Charleston.
The Charleston, the flappers, the
Dancing.
dancing. They had orgies and all kinds of stuff. I don't know that. I mean, it was crazy. The 20s
It's
were.
crazy. If you're gonna get crazy, get crazy.
Men could love men, women could love women, people could love people. And I know that look at me like, what? Do you want to have a talk, Michelle? No, I'm just saying it was
By
like,
the way, I'm all
so-
for that. You know that.
yeah.
right?
I mean, I'm just saying it. So it was like a fun, great until all the rules came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they came hard and fast.
Yeah, they
Oh.
did. Yeah. So that would be mine. The 20, the speakeasy and the whole,
Yeah, it's-
all of that.
I don't know what it is about that era.
I think
Tommy
it's- I
guns.
think it's the freedom, isn't it? The freedom it promised.
That's what it
Like
is.
Wild
Yeah.
and crazy, and nobody, now would
Yeah.
know you then, so you could just.
Now, I mean, there wasn't people died a lot younger. There wasn't the health, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a bad thing? I don't know.
I would,
If you're living a full life, we don't all
Yeah.
need to live to be 120 years old,
Yeah.
in my opinion, right?
that would be mine, I think.
I want to die young, fast, hard, boom, out.
Right.
But I'm
I
already past the
think
young.
the 20s. I mean, the other thing that would interest me, although it's a hard time, is the early night, the Dust Bowl. I'm trying to think.
The Depression.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to live during the Depression.
No,
That was
I don't
09.
think so either. But it's the 20s. I just
Mhm.
the good time, the fun, the
no war. I guess when was
No.
World War One?
1917.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
right between World War One, the Depression, and then World War
Yeah,
II.
yeah.
So
I-
that sweet spot right
yeah,
there.
for me. Yeah, the clothes, the feathers in the hair,
Yeah, that's
The
when they were
elaborate
first raising
clothing.
hemlines, and they were,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
doing all,
Which was
yeah.
risque.
Yeah.
well, they lowered them back down real quick after a minute.
No
until,
drinking and no bearing those.
right.
Smoking cigarettes.
I just
Those
think that
little
for
long
me,
handles,
yeah, the fashion, the aesthetics, the way of life, the
carefree.
fun, the art was kind of
Yes.
that was
Art
kind of a thing.
Deco.
Art was kind of a thing.
I
Art
think
was
that
happening.
F. Scott Fitzgerald's
Yeah,
time.
Great
Yeah.
Gatsby.
Paris,
Gatsby.
Paris
Great
and
Gatsby.
the Hemingway, all those people.
Yeah, the fun. That's what I'm saying. That everybody smoked and died at 30. You know, it was
Yeah.
great. It was great. So that for me would be I think the time when I would have to travel back.
And we had discussed this, like, would you rather travel to the future or to the past?
Oh, that's
And we
another
had-
one.
Discuss that. I mean, if you guys had the chance to go to the future, would you want to?
Interesting that you bring that up, and I'll answer that in a
Oh.
moment. But for us, for our characters, Darcy and Beatrix, we went into the past, but we knew what to expect because we came from the future. So we adjusted, I think, much better than someone would going from the past, like David might, into the future.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be a very
Freak.
difficult adjustment.
I agree because there's research about the past. Somebody
Yeah.
lived that.
Right.
But
And you have knowledge of the past. You have knowledge of what has happened. So it's a little, I don't want to say familiar, but it is compared
Yeah.
to going from the past into the future, which would be frightening.
here's what's interesting though. Most men you ask say future.
Yeah.
Really?
Most men. I've
I'm not
asked every
surprised.
guy who works here. They said future, hands down. Who would want to go to the past? Blah,
Right,
been there,
and-
done that.
She and I had this conversation as bringing up a question, and we both said past.
I go
I
past.
do not.
I don't want the future.
I don't want to know.
Same.
I'm
Mm-mm.
gonna make the future happen. What I'm gonna make. Right. I
Listen,
don't want to see what's there.
I saw Handmaid's Tale. I don't want to know. I don't
For
need
so
to know
many
any
reasons.
dystopian. The only thing was, we thought by now, 2025, when we were kids, that cars would be flying
Yeah.
cars. We did the Jetsons. We thought that would be
Right?
now.
Where's
And
my
it's-
Rosie? I just need a
Right.
Rosie.
Well, that's AI right now.
I don't have a robot around to clean my house.
AI clean my house. Clean my house.
But I
Right.
remember
Yeah.
I'll really date myself here in 6th grade, and we used to get these things called weekly readers.
Yeah, the weekly
Yeah.
reader.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I remember one time talking about, and they had one day you'll talk to someone, you'll be able to see them while you're talking. They're like, whoa, no way. And there we are.
The TV
Yeah.
phone. We called it the TV, phone.
Yeah.
TV phone.
Now we all have them.
Well, if somebody would like to do a little more than this, we're almost done already.
Oh,
How fast does it go?
Yeah.
Well, you guys are fun.
Lady,
Okay, and let's hear one more thing. Besides what you
Okay.
guys may be writing another book, what else is on your agenda to do together? Any other bestie
Travel.
plans?
We're going to Santa Fe in September.
Oh,
So we take trips together every few years or so, but we get together every year. 4th of July,
They come over.
Halloween, which
Halloween.
you join us for.
yeah.
Oh, I'm coming over
New
for
Year's. Come for
Halloween.
Halloween
I'm
this year.
coming.
Come for Halloween.
We do it up.
I'm gonna
we
come
do it up.
trick-or-treating in costume. Yes.
Our husband does full blown. He didn't this year, but full blown Dracula.
Oh, yes.
Full blown Dracula.
And he designed the cover of the book.
Oh, yeah,
by
this
the
he's
way.
an artist.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This is art.
I do love that.
I know you guys think they're
Yeah.
great. Look at from the
It's-
70s.
And he and I were in art prize together. be an idea.
Oh,
That was a big project,
Yeah.
yes, that we did
Okay.
together.
Yeah.
I can't find where
Yeah.
my camera is. I can't. Oh, there it is. Put up to my camera. The book is called A Dance in Time. Where can we find it again? Tell us how to
On
find
Amazon.
it. Okay.
And apparently there's another book by the same name. So be sure you enter either Sanders or Diedrich so the right
Okay.
book pops up.
Bastards
Perfect.
took your
I
name.
know.
Ladies, thank you for
I
joining the
know.
podcast.
Thank you.
Inviting us.
It was
This was
fun.
fun.
See, you were nervous for no reason. Like, isn't this just total BS?
This
I
was-
know.
It was fun.
You didn't need to be
Thank you.
nervous, right?
Like,
It was a great opportunity. Thank you.
we just, not really.
You
Let's
know,
see.
yeah,
I mean,
it
this is to
was.
raise your standards.
Yeah.
Thanks for making the trip across the state.
Okay.
And thank you, ladies, so
Oh,
much for being
Okay. And
Thank
later this
you for-
afternoon, it's martinis on their porch. I'm just
here.
saying.
Okay.
All
I mean,
right.
I can walk right over.
Thanks,
Love it.
girls.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. It's A Dance in Time, Diane Sanders, Barbara Diedrich.
And
Yes.
and also if you like our show, you can subscribe, please.
Yeah.
And follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
To Michelle's one question. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.